Good luck, buddy.
Hey, hoping when it does rain.
Need to start.
Yes.
Y'all ready to start?
Sure.
Time being 6 o'clock, I'll call the budget work session to order. Shannon, we're up and running. We're up. Everything, we're on?
Yes, we
Okay,
are.
thank you. Budget work session, number one, discuss and provide direction on town council priorities related to the 2024-2025 budget. Staff presentation, Dad?
Mayor and council. We are so early in the process. I can tell you right now, I believe we're going to be in good financial shape again this coming fiscal year. But at this stage, the reason we are only looking for priorities and not digging down into the weeds is it'll be July 25th before I have a certified tax roll. And so from the preliminary workshop that I went to on April 19th, until the very first projections they gave me on May 31st, $385 million worth of tax valuation went into protest in Bartonville. So everybody's protesting their valuations.
What was that number?
385 million. So that
Out
will
of the
not all
total?
be gone, lost. It's just that's how much is in dispute in valuation. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's the total appraised amount? Like, what was the percentage of the
That
people?
is about 30%.
30, okay.
So we typically are between 900 and $1 billion.
Okay.
So again, it's a pretty good, a sizable chunk. So again, we don't know what that's going to look like. I feel confident that it'll ultimately land higher than last year. It's just we've seen some new growth. We just don't know. So again, they're always the appraisal board is always looking against the new state rules and those, any caps that are out there. And so you just aren't sure until they get closer. Sales taxes will be up. We'll have Whataburger. Well, I assume all of next fiscal year, but as long as it's taking them to get it open, we don't know that for sure. Franchises fees will increase. We will see increases in our permit fees, but development fees, I don't see any other large tracks that are likely to come in. We can always amend the budget later, but I'm not projecting any new, like this year we had Knights Crest. Previous years had Hudson Hills and those, and there's a big chunk of revenue in there with a lot of that going to my expenses as well for in construction inspection and engineering. So again, I am confident that we will see a healthy revenue stream this coming fiscal year. I'm just not sure within $150,000 of what that might be yet. Could be off 200. Additionally, we don't have health insurance information yet. Some of that is usage based, and I used it a little this year. So there could be an impact of that. Do we have a date yet, Shannon?
We're trying to get everything done by mid-August, so that way we'll know for sure. And they said right now to budget a 15% increase.
So again, and right now that number is about 180,000 across both departments, police and admin. So again, it's not a budget buster, but it is a big enough number that we always hedge on the safe side for that expense. So getting down into those priorities, y'all have continued since I've been here to talk about streets and safety and those types of things. So again, do y'all want to have me project for an annual work order? That's the road work we do kind of around town, maybe not fog seal this time, something else. So again, typically we budget around 250,000 for that kind of work. And then additionally, if this council would like, we can work on the budget and see if we can fund the third phase of Jeter, the East Jeter construction. Phase 2 is under design right now. Between these street maintenance sales tax and reserve funds, we can fund that without any issues. We might start having to get a little tricky if it's another $1 million for the next East Jeter segment.
Phase 3B.
That would take it to Gibbons.
Okay,
so again,
so
that'll
it would
take it
be
from-
from the last turn
Yes, sir.
west all the way. Okay.
To Gibbons. And they were broken down in approximate $1 million segments originally, and we've continued to be pretty close to that is our estimate.
And that GeoGrid has not moved yet, and it's been 8 months, and there's not one crack in it. And with all the rain that we've had, and I'm shocked because with regular reconstruction, we would have definitely had some cracks by now. Based on all the movement. So
Staff perspective,
Pretty impressive.
when we do a reconstruction project like that, I really need it to last 10 years. Otherwise, we'll never get ahead of your road projects. If we're having to come back 3 to 5 years later on $1 million rebuild or reconstruct and do it again, we'll just never catch up. And so I would recommend continuing that construction process because again, it has held together. Again, we're still in the first year, but with all of the rain and we're getting a lot of truck traffic through, I think it's held up really well.
I think we're about to find out because when Knights Landing starts doing all their construction, the heavy
Yes.
trucks going in, we're gonna see how that thing's gonna hold up under heavy trucks. And that will tell the tale.
all the others cracked in about 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it was full reconstruction was cracking in 3 months. I mean,
Well, when we talked to Chris,
So-
using the GeoGrid, the idea was it would have to be redone in about 10 or 12 years, but it would just be a resurface of the exit instead of a complete tear down. So that should be cheaper, obviously.
And if those kind of products work, then it allows me to continue to bring things and get you, on top of your roads because, they're always deteriorating. And the roads are always an issue because typically you get them given to you free from a developer. And then we don't save money to fix that street later, just historically, not just discounts or any, that has historically been the problem of why it always takes bonds to fix your streets. Is you deferred all that maintenance and then all of a sudden you got to do a major repair and you spend it somewhere else.
It's paid off, right? All those.
This year is the last payment on the bond. So again,
Okay.
that we will not have to have that $300,000 come out this year.
So that won't be on next year's budget. All right,
It
that'll
will
be
not
good.
be. And again, I think your street maintenance sales tax may land around 600,000 this coming year in revenues for that. So again, it starts to build on itself. And we can do some bigger projects. The visibility, again, that's part of the safety. We did the trees again this year. Do y'all want to continue with that? Do you want me to continue to budget for, again, that's to clear all our signs and the overhead and then back from the roadway. Again, there's always that, hey, you missed my tree. No, that's not the purpose of this. This is truly visibility and safety, not trimming up your trees in your bar ditch, because that's still technically your responsibility.
Hopefully what they're doing now, they trim them back far enough, it gives us 2 or 3 years of runway before they have to come back and do it again. But I realize that we're doing it in different parts of town, but we could always budget a little something for that.
Is it possible? And I don't know if this is time to bring it up or later, but the feedback I got, from canceling the cleanup day and the brush type deal. Some of the citizens said that some of the other towns, they have they contracted out where maybe like if we did it once a year, once every 18 months to have if community waste couldn't do it, is maybe another company that even the citizens, they could kind of like hazardous waste would order it in and let them expect to have a fee to, if they couldn't break it into 4-foot bundles and bundle it up. That's the biggest drawback right now that the feedback I've been getting is people are even willing to maybe pay a small fee if they could put it out there in the ditch and then
Like
have
tree removal?
Yeah, come by and pick it up and chip it up and put it in a chipper.
if we, excuse me, if we
It's
had,
just open for discussion.
if we had a waste service with a grapple,
Exactly, yeah.
can they pick up bigger pieces perhaps?
Yep, they just gotta
Yeah,
do
they
something
could.
with it.
Now,
Put them in the back?
I will say this, as part of your next meeting at 6:30, we discussed the Waste Connections contract and whether or not y'all want to go out to RFP, those types of things. And again, you can do ad alternates.
Mhm.
What does it cost for this? And then council can make the decision on whether that's worth it
Yeah.
to add in. So these are those,
That's a
this is
service we
absolutely a
can
good time to
get
talk
added.
about it.
Okay.
Now we're trying to bring it up and on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're
So-
good.
Yeah,
Jacqueline, and we've got rental properties in Denton, and they had exactly what you just described.
Mhm.
You put your pile out there, and the guidance they give you in Denton is they said the pile should not be bigger than a washer and dryer together.
Mm.
And they come with the grapple and they pick up all the sticks, limbs, logs, whatever, and they dump it in the back of an open box.
Mhm.
You go down the next one.
I would be able to fill up a roll-off dumpster at my house with all the
Yes.
trees that have died. So,
They have the roller where they, they mash it down in there
yeah.
and go the next. So it's available.
Yeah.
Now it does.
Like you said, we have a lot of limbs out here, and a lot of trees, so.
On phase three, I'm fine if you want to look at moving forward with phase three for the next one, because we're going to have the tax dollars coming in. So,
Roads have always been a priority, but right now we're just looking at phase two and then maybe phase three for next year, correct?
Yeah.
For the next.
Phase
fiscal.
two, again, we're doing design.
Will it happen?
I don't know if we'll get that started before the fiscal year
Yeah.
ends. It's probably gonna bleed over, but we could go straight into, again, if the funding shows to be there and this council approves it, we could go straight into phase three, because again, you have to design all the surveys and everything else, and it takes a long time. So we're learning that lead time, even if you say we're doing it, it's 6 months before it starts. And then the final one is policing. The mayor and I have looked at a lot of different options. The policing has made a huge difference and impact. If you go, I'm going to take you backwards a little bit to our comprehensive plan survey, where a lot of the people were talking about cut through traffic, speeders, again, the
Footballs.
cyclists. So y'all created a traffic safety committee, and they had public meetings, a number of public meetings before deciding on new stop sign locations, as well as the reduction of the speed on McMakin. What we have discovered over the last year, thanks to enforcement, that has made a big impact. We dropped almost 30% on Jeter on the cut through traffic. So the signs are a big piece of it, but without enforcement, that will make zero impact, because every time we're doing enforcement, when people come and talk about Barrington Hills and the speeders on McMakin, we go over there for a little while, more heavy presence. And then somebody on Gibbons calls and says, they're speeding over here and they're running the stop signs. And then as we go over to Gibbons, Jeter, and then Porter. So without that continued presence and visibility, I think you'll lose those gains that we've made over the past 12 months. So again, that's something without knowing the money yet, there is the possibility of us proposing an additional officer in this budget for y'all's consideration. And again, Chief will talk more directly to that if that comes to fruition through the budget process, as far as funds being available and y'all deciding. And again, the discussion has been power shift, meaning 2 to 10. When is that busiest period, so that again, people will not know if I'm on Jeter or Gibbons or maybe McMakin or all three at certain times. And again, that is the whole purpose there, is to affect change so that people just go around. Truly, they just go around, or they make sure they're following the posted speed and stopping at the stop signs, whether you're a cyclist or a motorist. So again, those are council decisions. That's just things that we are considering and looking at. What we're facing right now, it's a challenge. It's a good challenge to have. All of our guys have been here almost 2 years. We're starting to deal with vacations. So on paper, we're 24/7 because I have 4 patrol officers. But when somebody gets sick, somebody goes to training, or again, somebody uses their vacation that they've earned, I end up either paying overtime or have a gap that's covered by Double Oak or county. So those are council decisions. Y'all may be okay, and I will adapt to whatever this council decides are your priorities. But that's the reality of now having a stable workforce, is people are using their time, and to keep them from burning out, that would be another consideration on perhaps having someone who could float between those roles. Because right now, a lot of times it's Lieutenant Scudder, and I
Yeah.
lose him for the day shift. And when he's
Yeah, you're
floats to
working
the
nights
night.
this week or something, weren't you? Yeah, yeah. Lucky you.
Question,
Yes, sir.
Thad. In the current budget, crime control has a $30,000 allocation if we were to hire a new officer.
Sure.
Also in tonight's council packet, I know that they're proposing to cover the expense of 2 new vehicles. Is that right?
Yes, sir. too.
So would that 30,000 still be there or
Yes.
is that in lieu of,
Nope, it is still in their budget and they still have projected revenues to cover
and
that.
you'd
for
anticipate that would roll over to next
going
fiscal
forward.
year?
And that's what they've always talked about. Again, this council appoints that board. So if they decided they didn't want to cover that, you might change things if that's the decision y'all make. To be blunt, again, y'all have to make those decisions. Y'all report directly to the residents through the election
Okay.
process. But yes, they've always discussed about if this council, they don't want to push the council. They want to support whatever your decision is.
I'm just trying to understand where all the money in the flow and all
They,
that.
they can
stuff
still,
we
they can
use.
fund the patrol vehicles and the continued support of a position at
Okay.
that $30,000 level.
And we're up to about 35 so far in overtime just this year.
That was gonna be my question.
So-
Maybe we don't have this information now, but what are we spending in overtime and in coverage requirements from other cities that we could mitigate by having a full-time officer to support that?
Not only what are we spending, but what are the gaps? The time gaps. Yeah. So both of those variables, if we could get information, would be great.
I'll have more direct information on the gaps when we get closer. I can tell you right now, I'm sitting just over 100% in my overtime wages for the police department at $56,000.
6 months in, or I guess we're 9 months in.
Yeah, we're 9 months. We still have a quarter to go. Now, the department is working hard to try and mitigate that where they can, but special events, we end up with everybody on just about.
Expected
Yes.
expense. We know that's gonna happen, but are we?
And we cannot eliminate
Hamstring
all of
ourselves.
that because the way our system is set up, every pay period, they're guaranteed 4 hours of overtime. But a lot of that could be saved with that, the power shift. So again, you end up with $30,000 potential support from CCPD, and then again, saving, let's say we saved 80% of that. You're almost there, almost, not quite.
It's this question, and this was really more for the chief. I mean, our current staff, they get paid this overtime. So how would they feel about, a new officer and kind of some of that overtime getting cut into? Because in my corporate world, some of my people will say, don't hire anybody else. I will take on more work if I can get more bonus, throughout. So I don't know. That's just a question that I have. So.
And that's a good question, right? That had mentioned this, if it was approved, the position is going to be a power shift from 2P to 10P to start out. Reason for that is you're going to have 4 hours. You'll have 2 officers on from, from 6 to 10. You'll have 2. Say we get a disturbance or an accident. We don't have to ask Double Oak, or we don't have to have the county. They can go together. And then you'll have it also from, I'm sorry, 2 to 6, and then 6 to 10. That's what I'm talking about. You have 4 and 4. Here's one of the things that we're going to, for that position, and to put it out there, that position is going to be 8 hours, weekends off, and they lose their overtime. That's been a topic. I have talked to the guys and asked for a letter of intent. If it was approved, who would be interested? I've only got one, because they don't want to give up that 4,000 or 5,000. So to answer your question, currently they're still going to be able to do that on the 12s. This will only mitigate and help fill those slots, so we don't have to pay, move the lieutenant around to work deep nights, or when they go to training, have to bring somebody in and do overtime. So there will be a reduction, but we'll still have that. Now, as we grow, I don't know how long that will take. That could go away. Or like some agencies do, you just basically do a short day. You do it 8. But then you do that now, if you've already been paying them, that won't sit well. As you say, you start going into overtime, they would not like that.
So just to clarify, the new position would not be eligible.
It's a straight 80 hours. Because there's no real need, because the reason we have the gap there is because you have that 4 hours that we wouldn't have an officer. When we went to 24/7, if we did an 8, like some of those others, you wouldn't have coverage from 2A to say 6A. So the reason for that is to cover that gap.
So if you have an officer in training, who covers that?
One in training, usually the lieutenant, or there's times I come in.
Okay.
There's times we'd have to ask somebody to come in. So it's just,
Instead of-
it makes it a little easier, more flexible with an additional body.
Okay.
So you wouldn't have that person cover if somebody's out? like-
Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I'm sorry, Miss. Yes,
Yeah.
that person
Okay,
is gonna be the one, say, tonight, we needed somebody for
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday. Guess what, Riggs? You're filling in for Richie. He took vacation time. You're it. So when they know that, they're gonna be the ones that sort of, hey, this is your shift, but it can change. I may need you to come in, say somebody's going, having to leave early or whatever. I need you to come in at 2 I need you to come in at 8 and work a different shift. So it's going to be more flexible. That will give us that, it's sort of like a,
It's almost like a floating.
it's like a, what do you call them? Auxiliary in baseball. Your
Utility.
utility. Thank you. He's the
Utility.
utility guy.
You know,
What's the benefit to that over just hiring another, essentially, excuse the expression, another full-time officer that's available to cover when we need them? The deep nights, as you talked about, what's the benefit of going to like that set scheduled shift, straight 80 hours instead of just having another full-time resource?
I'd have to look at the schedule. I think that we'll be able to accomplish a couple things. One of the things I look at, when you got a smaller agency, and I had to do where I came from, you have to create positions to try and keep staff here. It's not about recruiting, it's about retention. And when you give them different assignments, sort of this person would really like it. First of all, I'm getting weekends off. It's sort of more of it's helping out the agency, but it also gives another position. To go with another to do, I think what you're at, without me looking at the schedule and numbers, and the lieutenant may be able to answer this better than me, he does all this scheduling. We would probably, you get one, it would help fill, but usually on each shift to do that, you'd have to have, because you have 4 shifts, A, B, C, and D. Usually you have to have more than, because you'd have to have more than just, you'd probably have to have 2 extra to sort of reduce that, if that makes any sense. When you start looking at numbers for 12 full-hour
moves
shifts.
them from their set schedules, because right now there are set 12s.
Right,
across
so
the
you're gonna have to
schedule for
go, you would
4, so
actually,
I've got a 5th slot in there.
it,
It kind of throws them all. We can look at it.
yeah, I
And
can
to
pull some
clarify
numbers.
though, the position isn't guaranteed the overtime like the other officers. It would still be eligible for overtime if you worked them over 80. Because it's not a salary.
Sure,
position.
yes, I mean, if they have to work them, say they're pulling a shift and they pull a 12. And I still need, they can still make overtime. But I can look at that, Councilman, and see but just thinking the way it usually works where I've been, and I'll look at you, typically to do that, you have to add more than one position to make it work because they're on 12s. Does that make sense? Because you're on different.
so this
platoons.
guy's just gonna be flexible. He's gonna be working 8s until he has to fill in, then he'll do a 12 if he's filling in for somebody at night or whatever.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay.
correct, Mary. Yeah, if say tonight, say we had the position now, he'd be pulling the shift Wednesday, Thursday night. And then he'd go back.
Instead of
Would this
working
be a
12.
junior type officer or not necessarily?
I opened it up. I told him the criteria for the position. I'm gonna look at your seniority. I'm gonna look at your performance. I'm gonna look at your attitude and in attendance. Those are some of the things that I want to look at to make I get that, because I want to see, obviously, this position, when I put it out there, the number one complaint I've been getting, everyone knows, is traffic, speeding. We had the couple here on Barrington Hill. Went down there, hit it. They came out, give them the thumbs up. Hey, thanks, chief. It's really slowed us down. So to do that, this position, I said, your primary duty, I'm not saying it's your primary duty is to focus on reducing traffic complaints. When we have traffic complaints, that's where I want you. So in essence, that's going to be your priority, is to be working traffic.
So this position, it would allow us to have, say, one officer on McMakin, one over on Gibbons. Somebody's speeding through, they could get a ticket on Gibbons and then get popped again on McMakin thinking they're home free.
Yes.
So it just gives us a lot more coverage than one officer all the way in. So
And that's usually when I come in the mornings, typically one of the officers will hit it. I'll usually go McMakin, then I'll go Gibbons. I'll hit it myself because that way we only have one out there. And then when the lieutenant we make sure we do that even when I'm here, because I don't mind working traffic at all.
okay.
That's just, I get out there just like everybody else.
There
But
are times we have 3 running.
yes,
routines on
there's
the
times you may
weekend,
have
and
3
they're-
out there.
They are
But-
making a change on how people drive.
And that's what I'm hearing from the
In
residents,
present.
is they're saying
Big
we're
one.
slowing them down.
The big one are the bicycles, because
Yeah,
if they
well,
see you at one
oh,
stop
yeah.
sign, they run the rest of them.
They do.
Yes,
They
they
do.
See it every day.
Yeah.
The cars run them too. They
Yeah.
just go right through it. They kind of pause and go on. But
Some
whatever.
cars, they
Whatever.
complete stop, others, they just California roll and blow right through it.
What citizens really appreciate the most is the visibility of seeing that.
Yes,
officer.
we really,
That's the thing that I've noticed, and that's what it, yeah, and as we know, and we won't get into the car thing, but we're down to one car. I mean, we couldn't even get out with 2 units, and when
Yeah.
you see that high visibility, you're gonna slow
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Like, I guarantee you, they go, oh, the car's here, or it's down there, they're going, hey, there's only one. We don't want them to have, we need to change that thought process. And this position gives us more flexibility. I understand what you're saying. How does it work? How would it fit? I'd have to look at the numbers. And that's a good point. I mean, I don't know if we'd have to add more than one to get what we want out of there. But one of the main reasons is it does give an officer something different. So they don't stay in that same thing. They get, number one, you're getting weekends off, which is nice. You're on 8s, you're working 5, which some people don't want to do that. They want their Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. They want their only working 2. So it's the individual. I've only had one put in, and I probably won't get any more because of the reasons we're talking about. Losing my overtime, not having my 3-day work week. I don't want to work that much traffic.
I think, again, that's why we're having this discussion now, is we
Yeah.
try and put these things together for your consideration as we get closer to budget. These are great questions so that we can answer them.
And when I took this position, I was told it's, 24 light. So there are some times I couldn't give you a number right now, how often it's been there since I've been here. Not that often that we do have to have, I want to say post oak. I'm thinking about double oak fill in, and they're good neighbors. We help them and whatever, but this will just give us a lot more opportunity, not only flexibility, given that position, high visibility, but to be able to fill in those gaps so the lieutenant doesn't have to work deep nights. So he can't, because he has a lot of administrative duties. He does a lot. He's training me.
The last comment I was going to make on the policing is we have approximately 110 new residential lots that are coming online, and they're coming online fairly quickly if y'all have seen the construction. And so again, we're going to add another 300 people, another 110 homes, and 2 additional entries into the community off of 407 and Eagle Ridge. We're putting flock up there, and we're getting ready to put flocks up there, but off of IT Neely and on Clydesdale, Eagle Ridge and Hudson Hills. So those are other considerations that we're taking into account when we say, if we can fund it, we'd like to bring it to you for your consideration.
Households to officers that we have right now.
I do not know that ratio, but we can get it.
1,900.
Yeah, if that's
Got it.
something you could put in your proposal. I mean,
The
just,
more data we have,
Yeah.
this is the right way forward, the easier it is to make the decision.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chief.
Chief.
thanks, Chief.
good chief.
Thank you.
That's all I had, other than questions from council or anything you wanted to add to the discussion.
No, I think just the main thing is right now, the council is, you want to focus on roads and the main thing, and the police, and then retention, of course,
Yeah.
for all employees. So, okay. Number 2, discuss and provide direction on the proposed tax rate related to 2024, 2025 budget. Dad?
Here, the question always is, do y'all want us to run we can run various calculations. It's just a matter of putting it into the calculator. The mayor and I had a discussion today, though. For every penny you move it, your tax rate, that is about $67,000 in revenue, either lost or gained. So going down from 19 to 17, about $130,000 a year revenue that for roads or whatever that is no longer there. At the same time, the town stopped receiving, they received the last $150,000 payment from Flower Mound for the Tour 18. That was 2 years ago. When I first got here, that was the last payment received. So again, you're looking at almost 300,000 from 2019 to 2023, 2024. So we're going to keep pinching the pennies until they scream for y'all, but just those are the discussions and thought processes where if y'all would like me to run projections at the existing tax rate, that's where I'll run them. If y'all want to do something else, that's what I'll do.
For this year.
Yeah, for this year, let's
You got it.
stick where we are and we can reevaluate.
Yeah.
2 years ago, took it from 19 to
17, yeah, from 19.
That's it went from 19,294 to 17,364.6.
And we're looking at getting some additional sales tax revenue
Mhm.
from some of our
And see,
newer
we'll
commercial.
That till this whole thing washes out, because
Yeah.
we can put numbers out there now and you can miss it by $250,000, just drop of a thumb with the protest.
True statement. All right.
Maybe Marty B's ice cream will make up the difference.
I'm eating all I can. I'm not sure I'm gonna hit it that hard, but I'm doing my part.
That place is.
It's good.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the tax rate?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
is that it?
That's all I had.
Time being 6:31, we'll adjourn the budget session. Anybody need a break? No? Okay, we'll go right into the meeting then. Time being 6:31, we'll call the meeting to order, regular session to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Got it? All right. You're welcome.
Pretty good, huh? Public participation. If you'd like to speak to the council, please fill out a form on the table back there and hand it to Shannon. Please indicate on the form if you wish to speak during a discussion on a specific agenda item. Remember, council members are not allowed to answer questions during the public participation. Please state your name and address for the record. Okay, presentations. Number one, issue certifications of election, statement of elected official, and provide the oath of office to newly elected officials. Councilmember Chapman?
We need to go up there.
Danny's good.
For the use actually.
The L.
I, Nick, state your name. Do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly
You solemnly swear that I have directly or indirectly
paid, offered, promised to pay,
paid, offered, or promised to pay,
contributed or promised to contribute any money
contributed or promised to contribute any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or promised any public officer or employment,
for the giving or withholding of a vote
for the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election at which I was elected,
or as a reward to secure my appointment for confirmation,
or as a reward to secure my appointment for confirmation,
whichever the case may be, so help me God.
whichever the case may be, so help me God. That's a tongue twister.
It is.
It is.
Yes. I, Matthew Chapman,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
to faithfully execute the duties of the office
of council member place two,
of Councilmember Place Two,
the town of Bartonville, Texas,
the town of Bartonville, Texas, and
and will to the best of my ability
will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and law of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of the state
of this state,
and of the ordinances of the town of Bartonville, Texas.
and the ordinances of the town of Bartonville, Texas, so help me God. A bunch of them last week, last time.
Yeah.
Recognition of Bartonville Police Department Lieutenant promotion and badge pinning. Chief Riggs?
Mayor, Council, that I want to thank you guys for taking my recommendation back in April to promote the sergeant to lieutenant. That position is, as you know, is a number 2. He's actually acts as chief when I'm gone. And he's done an incredible job, not only during the transitional stage, keeping everything smooth, keeping morale up, making sure everything, I mean, he took care of the evidence. I mean, he does detective. He does so many things for us. And he's actually my field training officer, which is good. I haven't been in a squad car having to get in that computer and do reports and all those things. But as many times I ask him, hey, how do we do this again? I got sticky notes all over my computer. But he does so many other things, but he's teaching me how to get out on the street again. But he's done an incredible job just keeping us moving forward, our challenges, projects that have come up. He started his law enforcement career. Actually, he started as a detention officer. He went down to Port Aransas. Had been down there for 11 years, or actually 9 years. He's been here over 2. So he's got over 11 years in as law enforcement. While he was down at Port Aransas, he was assigned for a year and a half to the DEA task force. That means you are basically an agent, a federal agent. He got to do that for a year and a half. And that's pretty impressive. Helped him hone in his detective skills. I mean, you're dealing with dopers and things like that. He gets, search warrants, affidavits. He's very good at that. And he takes on that responsibility for us. Not only that, I mean, he does all our UCR reports, for the FBI reporting. He's our IT guru. I mean, he's setting up computers. I could go on about all the things he does on a daily basis. And I don't know how many times I ask him, hey, chief, or hey, lieutenant, I've already promoted him chief. Hey, chief. Well, they do have an assistant chief. I can put stars on him real quick, but anyway, he's just done a great job for us. He's actually he's applied to go to LEMET, which is sort of the takeoff from the FBI Academy State. It's great. I've been to it. You go to a month at Texas A&M, you do a month at TWU, and then a month at Sam Houston. You have to do a paper, MLA format, presentations. They do so many things and you get so many good connections. I still have friends to this day when I went through it back in '99. So he's put in for that. And they typically want to be a lieutenant above now because so many people, it's state funded, doesn't cost us anything, just time away. And then also he is working on his bachelor's degree to finish his bachelor's degree in criminal justice operations and administration from Southern New Hampshire University. So he's very driven. And I'm telling you, he knows internal, external operations. He's helped me meet a lot of these people in this room. And I'm just grateful that you allowed me to give him that title and to promote him to lieutenant. So please join me in congratulating Lieutenant Scudder on this achievement. Since I didn't get to do it in April.
Yeah. Oh.
Don't draw blood, please, chief.
That's the best one.
Best test.
These are easy.
We have EMS here.
I know.
The new shirt.
There we go. Congratulations.
Ah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant.
Congratulations. Thank you. Appointed representative liaison report. So number 1, Upper Trinity Regional Water District report. Dale? I think there's a video too, maybe?
Yes, we do have a video. Just trying to make sure that.
Appointed representative liaison report. So number 1, Upper Trinity Regional Water District report.
How you doing?
Dale?
Yes, we do have a video. Just trying to make sure that.
Appointed representative liaison report. So number 1, Upper Trinity Regional Water District report.
How you
Dale?
Is that AI?
Yeah, just trying to make sure.
An audiovisual pro.
Time out to talk. There you go.
And continue the economic prosperity the state is enjoying. The Upper Trinity Regional Water District is constructing Lake.
There we go. I guess I'm in.
North Texas is one of the fastest growing regions in the nation, with the population expected to nearly double by 2070 Texas water needs must be addressed to accommodate the population growth and
I guess
continue
I'm
the
in.
economic prosperity the state has enjoyed. The Upper Trinity Regional Water District is constructing Lake Ralph Hall, one of Texas's newest water supply lakes, to provide a reliable, sustainable water source for the cities and utilities it serves. You're invited to take a look forward to the North Texas is one of the fastest growing regions in the nation. With a population expected to nearly double by 2070, Texas water needs must be addressed to accommodate the population growth and continue the economic prosperity the state has enjoyed. The Upper Trinity Regional Water District is constructing Lake Ralph, one of Texas's newest water supply lakes, to provide a reliable, sustainable water source for the cities and utilities it serves. You're invited to take a water district to recreational opportunities and other benefits.
Was. Anyway, I've got a short update. Basically, it's on track to get water down here by 26. We've really well acquired all the land and the pipeline. We've cleaned out better than half the lake bottom and about half of the dam is built, and they're working on the deal to have their things that they get at Ross Pro out there at their museum and visitor center. And with a little luck, we should be able to fulfill the requirements would have been needed by 2030. Because in 2030, as they explained there, we would be in trouble if we didn't have more water. And with the population growing as it is, it just happened in time. So you got something else you want to show? Oh, yeah.
Dale did a good job of updating.
Yeah, Dale updated it.
We also sent this to y'all, your email last time. So
Yeah.
this is the same video that we had.
Next month, I hope to have a new one.
There you go.
Okay.
And I'm going to come down and have Shannon show me how it works.
Well, we thought we knew how it worked earlier today.
Yeah.
She was in here with Sherry and we sat here and watched it without any issue. It was, oh, well, this computer doesn't do well under pressure.
I
Thank
think
you,
it
Dale.
knows it to me. It knows I'm
Appreciate it.
here.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you very
update.
much.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Dale.
much.
You down.
Number two, Denton County Emergency Service District, Chief Vaughn's not here. Okay, we'll go to number three, Police Department, Chief Riggs.
Mayor, council, as you can tell, we are having some increases in calls for service this last 3 months. Basically March, April, May, we've had several increase. I think we had like a 56% increase in March. We had a 46% increase in April, and then we had a 32% back in May. So there are calls for service going up. One of the things that we've noticed, the majority of the calls we had before were assist other agencies, but those are actually going down. As you look in our monthly, we did have some accidents, quite a few accidents this past month for us. And one of the things I want to point out, I think last council meeting when I wasn't here, I think Councilman Crandall had asked about alarms in residential versus commercial. So we separated that. Another thing he does, he separated that for. So, you know, usually you have majority are going to be commercial. So we had 18 commercial, and we had 7 in residential, but calls for service are going up. Our officers are definitely out there stopping more traffic, making sure that we're invisible, which is one of the main things that we will continue to do to keep everybody safe, hopefully reduce accidents, and just gain voluntary compliance. When you see a cop out there, typically that does help you gain voluntary compliance. One of the things I'm happy to announce is we did get to take 176, which was our 2016 vehicle. We decommissioned it, and we have a 2024 of a Defender. We got a call yesterday. It was going to take 6 to 10 weeks. We're hoping to get it, 8 to 10 weeks, hopefully get it out maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks to get that vehicle out. Because as you know, we do have the other one that we worked on, and we can talk about those later, but we should be getting a new vehicle out, hopefully within the next, month to 6 weeks.
I think
Any
Chief and I
questions?
talked about, when you talk about a 30 or 40% increase, when you look at the numbers, it's not like Bartonville's being overrun with crime. You start with
Yes.
very low crime rate and you see any uptick, it sounds like
Yeah.
a horrible percentage, but if you look at the actual numbers, we're not being overrun, but our officers are out there, again, making those stops.
Most of the accidents are gonna be 407 McMakin area, it's where the high
7.
traffic.
And like that point, I just threw the percentage. Yeah, when you're looking at 100 calls a month, now we're going to 150. It's not huge, but it has been an increase, and who knows where it's going to go, but it's not, we have very low crime. Very.
Traffic complaint, is that people just saying, would you run radar over here? They're speeding, or what is a traffic complaint?
Yes, those are the ones that we get.
Okay.
Of course, yes, those are the traffic complaints we get, in which we do get several of those. I just had got one day before yesterday on Broome, wanting somebody to, and we try and hit all of them, as you say. The main ones are McMakin, Jeter, Gibbons, Porter, Dove Creek. Is it Dove Creek? Okay, I'm still learning my street. So, but we try and move around, because when you see us there, and they love seeing us there. I don't know how many times you get the thumbs up and thanks for being here. It's really nice that we have a community that supports us so much. But yes, that's what those are, traffic complaints. Okay, any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know if this is relevant, but on the traffic stops, it seems like there's a lot of those. What percentage of the traffic stops result in a ticket?
Citation?
Yeah.
I would have to run the numbers, because you can issue, because you have to issue a written warning, and we have to do the racial profiling.
Okay.
So when we do stop and do a warning, it is tracked. So I could go in there, I'm sure my IT guy can pull that up for us next month, and I'll be happy to answer that question for you.
Okay.
So my guess, I'm just guessing, and I'll see how close I am next month. Probably 75-25 would be my guess,
Okay.
but I may be wrong. But we can definitely look at that and pull those numbers for you.
Guess we haven't heard any back from TxDOT on the IT Neely proposed light. I know it takes a while.
They said we'd get an update this summer on the installation expectation. It's approved, they're in design phase, and then it just takes them forever to put them in. But I can reach out again and see if I can't get something for the next council meeting. We are in summer.
It's early.
Officially, it's early summer, but still, it's been an ongoing issue for quite some time.
Yeah, the solstice is the 20th, I believe. So.
Other questions for the chief?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. Since Chief Vaughn's not here yet, we'll go ahead and go with the town administrator, number 4.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. If you'll go to page 24 in your packet, we'll start on the general fund revenues. As we discussed a little bit during our budget workshop, revenues are very healthy this fiscal year against projections. If you'll notice the unique number 1 slot property tax, that $20,000 reduction, that was and I sent that out during my update, the successful protest by the Kroger Shopping Center, basically Newquest, reduced their tax obligations for the 2 previous fiscal years. I have sent them an invoice for that amount. So they have recognized that, again, it's all part of the agreement that if they receive a reduction when we've already paid them or given them that full incentive, they will pay that back. So again, that will go away before the end of the budget cycle. You will lose that negative, and it'll show again that we're made whole on that
You're gonna pay it.
yes.
Okay.
You collect that at the local level, or you have to go to their corporate, or how's that?
Corporate, they have to send it all the way up to the top. But the agreement is clear. They have 30 days to remit. I don't know that I'd go to penalties other than getting, maybe sick and ed on them, but I haven't had to do that yet. So again, it's their right to do so. The agreement doesn't take away their right to protest valuations. But it does address the fact that if they are successful and we've already spent the money to send it back to them, they have to remit. So that will be made whole. Sales taxes, again, we're ahead of schedule. So we're looking at 2/3 of the budget cycle. I'd like to see 33% or less in these categories remaining to be collected. With the anomaly being property tax, we get all that at one time. Franchise fees, again, very healthy. I'll project, as we discussed during the budget workshop, we'll project increased revenues for that this coming fiscal year. Development fees, that's the one I mentioned. I don't anticipate us seeing any of those this coming fiscal year because I just don't see any subdivisions beyond Knights Landing. There's not that many large tracts that would create a subdivision. Not 5 or 6 lots that front a street, that's different. But when you have to put in that infrastructure, streets, drainage, et cetera, that requires the engineers' inspections and approvals. So that's what those fees typically cover. So very healthy this year. We'll project 0 next year, but I'll also project 0 in that category for expenditures. So it'll be almost a wash. And then municipal court, again, our officers are out there. They are issuing warnings, but they are also issuing citations. So our municipal court revenues are healthy. As I've discussed this before, and I always like to bring it up, that is not a significant revenue source for us. We don't want it to be that. It's about compliance with the ordinances y'all pass. It is not about being punitive unless they decide not to comply. So again, that's why we put it last, but it is continuing to go up because, again, some people just are stubborn. If you go to page 25, do you have any questions on that one before I move on? If you go to page 25, that's our 12-month rolling average. You'll see we didn't have the significant bump we've had. So we've added Fat Burger, we've added Dutch Bros. There's a number of monthly remitters, sales taxes that we've added that have basically flattened out the Kroger, which pays quarterly. So instead of seeing that huge bump on the quarter, it's now you can tell it's there, but it's not very pronounced where we're seeing that huge change month over month. So again, we're continuing a slow but steady rise. And again, with the addition of Whataburger, Wingstop's coming in as well, I expect us to continue that increase. Slow but steady. Again, we're watching the economy as we always are. At some point people stop eating out as much and that could impact us. So I always monitor that activity. Any questions on that slide? Sure.
I want to put this to the other council members, just on the whole sales tax. I'd kind of like to see a chart that shows us our top 5 sales tax generators just by rank, not their dollars that they generate. Cause I know that they don't want that shared. And then I'd also like to see the sales tax generated by sales tax type, like retail, food and beverage, retail services category, and maybe do it by quarters and track that, because that might give us some feel on economic trends, whether sales taxes are going up and down, people stop eating out as much or whatever.
I watch those and I have a program to do that. I have no problem adding that into the packet if y'all want to see something like that. Again, it wouldn't be in the charts. It'd just be one page that shows, again, top 5 generators by business, and then top 5 by category, or basically
Periodically,
have it done on the quarters.
Just something that'd be nice.
So you're saying that wouldn't be much of an inconvenience to you?
we have a service that we use.
We don't want you to get the impression we want to micromanage, but
No, there's,
the information would be vital and be interesting, but at the same point, we don't want to put more on you than what you already got to do.
this one's pretty easy. That's an easy ask.
Thanks, though.
Best kind.
Right, exactly. Page 26. Again, we're 2/3 in the fiscal year. We'd like to see 33% or more remaining in these categories. Which we are everywhere except for municipal court. And when you look at the total value or the total dollar number, although I'm running hot in that account, it's not going to be that much over. And that's related to our prosecutor primarily. We're projecting that increase for this next fiscal year. We're running 40 to 50 per month, per docket, 40 to smaller dollars. So again, it's not a huge budget buster at all, but that's why that one's running hot is she's here a lot longer because we're running dockets that are 40 or 50 a month. And I think we've got we have a pre-trial and a trial coming up. So again, we're getting some of the people we're pulling over complicate things. And so we're getting dinged on that. Everything else, we're in good shape on the expenditures. Questions on that? General, go to 27. Now we're digging down into it. Again, we're healthy. We'd like to see 33% or more remaining. We're right on for salary and benefits. Other category, Mary, you're going to ask me what that is. Let me get back to it. I know in the police that's travel and training here. Other is cleanup day, banners and signs, advertisement, those types of things. So again, that category is quite healthy, but that's what's in there. Capital improvements, we really haven't spent anything yet. We're getting ready to. This week we're going to get those windows will be limo tinted, if you will. We're pulling down the maps because that's pretty awful looking from the street. We're going to have new
Did all the
blinds.
parking lot cleaning and striping out there, right? So that should show up
Yeah, that'll show up next month.
next month.
And that was only about $2,500.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna put kind of what we've done on the outside. We're gonna do some of that to the inside. It'll be lighter gray paint throughout. Again, the old blinds will go away. We will have new ones that will actually help with our efficiency in the building because they'll be heat blocking. So within that category, and it'll just freshen up your town hall. People seem to like to come here more. I don't know. Maybe it's us. Maybe it's just how it looks. I don't know.
Poster board,
you.
poster board blinds, you don't.
No, I don't like poster board blinds. Do you have any questions on administration expenditures? Again, we're staying within budget on that category. Police, we are, other is travel and training and dues and memberships for anybody curious because that one's running real close. Again, our officers are starting to do more training. Some of that is requiring the travel. So I'm projecting an increase for next fiscal year as part of our discussions. Maintenance, of course, we're hoping to make it through the rest of the year without another amendment. But as Chief mentioned, we've gotten down to one car again. So that's 3 times we've been down to one police vehicle plus the administrative vehicle. So that is not preferred. And it has cost us a lot in maintenance. We'll never do an engine swap again. Contracted services, we're in good shape. Again, I mentioned what other was. So overall, despite the fact that we're at 100% for overtime currently with a third to go, we're still in budget. We're still, trying to keep it close.
That supplies we got a lot there. Is there an expenditure plan on supplies? Or
That is fuels and lubricants, operations and supplies. That one's actually fuels and lubricants runs about the budget's 22,000. Operations and supplies runs at 20,000. Small equipment purchase repairs 6,500 and uniforms 4,000. So that's how that's broken down.
67% of that left?
Yes, sir. And of course, we've spent some from CCPD. They've been very supportive of, the tasers and those new, the equipment upgrades that we've taken on over the last few months. So again, CCPD has been a huge help in not hitting our general fund.
Change oil on a vehicle with no engine, so.
Right. That is a true statement. Do y'all have any other questions on that category or that page? Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you. Denton County Emergency Service District, Chief.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Sorry for being a little late. I was at the Lantana board meetings, but glad to be here. Summer has officially started. It is starting to get warm. I would like to thank a lot of our community members who've donated water. That's one of our big kickoffs. So people always ask me, what can we do to help? And we always do kind of a water Gatorade kickoff and people drop off. So we're always so thankful for all the community support we get. As for May was a lot different, right? It was a lot more wet. We saw a lot of downed trees, not so much from the wind, but I think the ground was just so saturated. They just, just the root systems were just so weak from all the rain. So, but we had a good month. We kicked off the month with our push-in ceremony for our brand new fire engine at Station 513. They're off Copper Canyon Road. That was a big success. Chief was there. We had free snow cones. It was a lot of fun for all the kids and families. We had a good time with that. But then we also had our signature event, the carry load event. I might have reported this before, but we had a huge turnout. Just put that in perspective. Last year, we had 150, and it was our very first time to do it. And this year, it was recognized as a national event, and we had over 300 show up. So we had over 300 participants. So it's funny, we had a photo showing like last year's participants and this year's, and you couldn't hardly fit them all on the screen. So it was huge success. But that leads into a lot of things. We have a summer full of activities for family. We've got the Summer Science Series. We got CoServe, which does the electricity. It's always a big hit. The kids get to blow up a hot dog. So we've got that coming up. And then we've also, the really big hit is the one on snakes, but that's always the big one. And that'll be in July, on July 15th. And that one's going to be all day long. And so you can go to different stations. Station 514 at 10, Station 511 is at 2 p.m. And then the Station 513 off Copper Canyon Road is at 6 p.m. So
Are you going to be handling the snake?
no, I do not like snakes.
Okay.
My wife doesn't like snakes. We've lived here less than a year and a half, and we've seen 2 at our house. So I'm like, oh yeah. So not a big fan of snakes, but when you live in this area, you just got to be used to that, right? But we had as far as the ESG board, we've doing a lot of great things there. Last week we had our strategic planning meeting. So all our commissioners came together and we reviewed our mission, values, vision statements, and we kind of looked at our strategic plan for the next 3 years, come up with some benchmarks and milestones that we're looking to accomplish over the next 3 years. And then this week, Thursday, we have our Board of Commissioners meeting, and we also have our budget workshop. So we'll be kicking off our budget workshop, which will lead into the tax rate, which everybody wants to know, which will probably have that official by September. So a lot of good things are happening, and we look forward to July 4th. I know this past year was the first year we had the ordinances in place about the fireworks, and we saw a huge impact because of that. Our fires were down last July 4th compared to the year before. So as always, we prepare for those things. We have little meetings and discuss, come up plan of action to how we address those issues. But it was nice seeing all the support we got from the local jurisdictions, police officers particularly, and we had a really successful July 4th last year. So looking forward to that. And with all the rain, hopefully it won't be so dry either. So other than that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chief.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. This agenda consists of non-controversial housekeeping items required by law. Items may be approved with a single motion. Items may be removed from the consent agenda by any council member by making such a request prior to a motion and a vote on the consent agenda. Number 1, consider approval of the May 21st, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
And that we approve the May 21st regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. J, public hearings and regular items. Conduct a public hearing, discuss and consider ordinance amending the Town of Bartonville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Exhibit A, Article 14.02, Ordinance 361-05, zoning regulations for the Town of Bartonville to change the zoning designation from agricultural to residential estates 2 RE2 on a 12-acre tract or parcel of land identified as Lot 1R and Lot 2R, Block A, J, Burke Survey, Abstract Number 42 in the Town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas. The subject property is located on the southeast corner of Broom Road and Porter Road in Bartonville, Texas. The applicant is McAdams, representing property owners Rusty and Martha Rice. Town of Bartonville, ZC 2024-001. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 5-0 at its June 5th meeting. Staff presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This item, I want to start off by reminding everybody, this is for the zoning only. So we're not worried about drive entrances, setbacks, lot setbacks, or gas well setbacks, or whether or not that gas well will even be there when it's subdivided. That will all be addressed during the plating process. So again, if the well's there, they'll have to have certain setbacks. If the well is plugged and abandoned, then of course that would change that. This is simply about the 12 acres and whether or not the zoning request meets the future land use plan. So again, as Mayor said, this is the corner of Broome and Porter. There's the location map. It's requesting go from agricultural to residential estates, RE2, minimum lot size 2 acres. Again, it is presumptive that they are requesting this zoning to create 6 2-acre lots on this property. It does match our future land use plan. RE2 is designated in this area. It's a portion of 2 parcels. Again, there's the better picture of it. Y'all seen the signs up there for the last couple of weeks as well. And again, when you're looking for whether or not to approve something like this, is it consistent with a comprehensive plan? And yes, it is. That's the biggest factor that P and Z has looked at over, well, since I've been here for 2 years, and the council as well. We went through that update of the future land use plan, so it is current, and this does meet that. There are no annexations or development agreements related to this. Is it compatible with the immediate area? Yes, the area is surrounded by our agricultural and RE2 per the land use plan. And again, it's not applicable for schools, streets, or utilities. All of these lots would, there would be one lot that has Broome and Porter frontage, and then the remaining lots would exit out onto Porter. And again, when we get to the site plan process, there are widths required of the lots, the frontage, so that they, again, those drives aren't going to be right next to each other because there's also distance requirements between those drives for safety reasons.
Tough place over the top of that hill too.
Yes. So one of the things we may have to consider at some point, we've got the stop sign at Broome, which is helpful. We may need additional signage. They have the signs that show the driveways coming in off of that road, depending on how this goes in the future. Again, there's no factors affecting public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. Drainage will also be handled through that plating process. They'll have to show how this is going to drain, because there will be additional runoff that they're going to have to account for when they start paving and building houses. So again, we will look at that. Our engineering firm reviews all of that.
That whole thing slopes from south to north.
Yes,
so.
yes, it does. And again, with the, what do we call atypical rains we've had this year, we have discovered that we have a few issues, and we'll talk about that later in this meeting from the drainage standpoint. So again, those will all be reviewed by professional staff before they come, again, before P and Z and council for the plating.
Pension and all that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Again, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval 5-0. The applicant actually has someone here for a presentation as well, and to answer your questions or anything I can't. Yes, sir.
Public comments, we had 5 letters of support, 1 opposition. What was the opposition?
We're gonna get to that in a
We'll
minute.
get to
Yeah,
that? Okay.
We'll get to that. That's coming
All
up. We need to do the applicant. Is the applicant here? Great.
Switch over.
Good afternoon. My name is Marissa Brewer. I'm a planner with McAdams, located at 4400 State Highway 121, Louisville, Texas. Today, I will be presenting on the subject property, which is 12 acres located along Porter and Broome. So as you can see in kind of what that was already talking about, the future land use map does call out the subject property to be RE2, which is residential estate, 2-acre lots. And then the current zoning is ag with a little bit of that northern corner being RE2 already. But we did talk about it at our planning and zoning meeting a couple weeks ago, that we have not confirmed that that northern part is zoned as RE2. So we are just including the subject area to rezone. So that way we can make sure that it's actually going to be RE2 as well.
First, let me jump
Yeah,
in
go for
again. The discussion was, although it shows up on the map, we think there may be a formatting error that included that as RE2. Ryan could not find where it was actually rezoned, so we've included it all to make sure we're covered and don't leave a piece hanging out.
Zone, then you just accept it out.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
3-2.
Yes, ma'am. So again, we were planning on worst case scenario that somehow that was simply an error and it wasn't included. So we've swept it all in.
And then this is the proposed plan. So like Thad said, it's going to be 6 lots, 2 acres on the 12-acre total. So, and we are meeting all the dimensional requirements at this time that the town requires. So, and then I'm happy to take any questions that y'all have.
It's just rezoning.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No,
Okay.
this is simple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Time being 7:11, I open the public hearing. Shannon, I think you had some comments.
Thank you, Mayor. The town did receive 7 emails in support of this rezoning amendment request, and they were from Ron and Daniel Scotta at 1010 Jean Perry Court, Siobhan O'Brien at 875 Porter Road, Brent Svor at 1018 Jean Perry Court, David and Jennifer Stalker at 1023 Jean Perry Court, and James Reed at 1016 James Price Court. And then during the public hearing at the P and Z meeting, Justin Buck at 175 Porter Road wanted his opposition stated. He didn't give any other information than fill out a speaker card that said in opposition.
7 in favor, 1 against.
5 in favor, one.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. Does anyone wish to speak in favor?
I have not received any cards.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Okay. Time being 7:12, we'll close the public hearing. Council discussion.
Just within the master land use plan, I don't think we can do anything else.
No,
So.
We'll worry about, it'll be a bigger discussion. We start trying to put all those driveways going out onto.
Yeah,
That's
that's
gonna be a tough spot.
that's the only concern, but we'll figure it out. All right.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to change the zoning designation from agricultural to residential estates to parenthetical RE2 on a 12-acre tract of land identified as Lot 1R and Lot 2R, Block A, J. Burke Survey, Abstract number 42 in the town of Bartonville, Denton County, Texas.
All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Welcome.
Number 2, conduct a public hearing, discuss and consider an ordinance amending the town of Bartonville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Exhibit A, Exhibit C, and Chapter 19, Accessory Building and Use Regulations to permit the installation and operation of recycling collection bins in the town of Bartonville. The applicant is Philippa, I don't know if that's right or not, representing Texas Green Team, town of Bartonville, ZC 2024-002. The planning and zoning recommended denial by a vote of 5-0 at its June 5th meeting. Staff?
Mayor, Council, the information on the request is in your packet. Staff did not do a presentation for this one. I can tell you staff, with Ed's backing, we have taken a hard line. If it's not defined in the categories in our ordinances, it's not permitted. So when you bring something in that doesn't have a category, we had 8 of these removed from the town because again, they came in without like fitting any category that exists within our zoning. During the Planning and Zoning Commission, they appreciated that stance because that is how the Planning and Zoning Commission has drafted the ordinances. They basically went through anything they wanted or wanted to consider has been included in the town's ordinances and those definitions. If it isn't, it likely was discussed and not added for a specific reason. That's something that they were not looking to add to the town, that it did not benefit the community. Additionally, it was discussed that Goodwill has locations close by for donation now. Additionally, Salvation Army will pick up at your door. So this is really, there's not a benefit to the residents of Bartonville by adding this definition. And it certainly doesn't meet the standard or the look of the commercial districts in Bartonville as well. Again, typically you'll see these in second generation or third generation shopping centers that have re-tenanted over the years, not a first generation space like Kroger is right now. So again, staff had recommended denial and P and Z recommended 5-0 denial. So it would take a supermajority vote for council to overcome that and add that definition.
The applicant here,
I did not see him.
Okay.
It does not appear so.
time being 7:15, we'll open the public hearing. Shannon?
Thank you, Mayor. At the town has received 2 emails in opposition of this zoning amendment, amendment request. And at P and Z, I did read the statements in. The first one was from Donna Baumgartner at 890 East Jeter Road. She stated, "I wish to voice my opinion against the recycling and clothing bins request. These bins turn into an eyesore. The area has multiple charities that appreciate donations. Please notify the P and Z committee that I do not approve of these bins." And then the second opposition email was from Diane Golden at 1261 East Jeter Road. She strongly opposes for the various reasons and would appreciate you conveying that to the P and Z. 1, there are multiple drop-off sites near us already. 2, there are charities that collect on a regular basis. 3, nonprofits already exist to manage sites, pick up and or have stores devoted to such activity. 4, a donation bin needs constant monitoring. 5, a donation bin can be overrun with trash and broken items. Bartonville should reject the proposal of a donation drop-off site. We did not receive anything in favor, and I have not received any cards from tonight.
Anyone wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against or in opposition? No. Time being 7:17, we'll close the public hearing. Discussion, council?
I don't agree with the P and Z.
Yeah.
Bartonville does not need collection bins.
In my career, when those go up, that's when your generation it's third generation and things start declining. It's just a bad look for that level of real estate. And I don't think that presents Bartonville very well. So
Have a motion?
I move that we deny the request to amend for the ordinance amending the town of Bartonville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Exhibit A, Exhibit C, and Chapter 19, Accessory Building and Use Regulations to permit the installation and operation of recycling collection bins in the town of Bartonville.
second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Council. Number 3, discuss and consider a resolution to approve a purchase agreement for 2 new police vehicles with purchase agreement to begin fiscal year 2025 and end fiscal year 2027, not to exceed $58,314 annually. Chief Riggs?
Mayor, Council, hello again. When I took this position, there's sort of 2 things that were on a high priority that I heard from citizens and then staff. And one of them was slow people down, don't let them run stop signs, and we need safe and reliable vehicles. As you know, we've talked about it. We've been down to 1 vehicle 3 different times. This was taken to CCPD back Tuesday, June 11th, and they unanimously approved. I want to thank the lieutenant. When we were talking about this, I'd heard about this program. He said, "Hey, Chief, have we looked into this?" So we reached out to Stephanie Cates and we proposed, we sent this out. To me, it makes sense. They already approved $80,000 for 1 unit. The CCPD did. So we have money already approved there if y'all approve it, obviously. But this, if you do this, what's nice about it is we will get 2 vehicles. And then we'll be able to outfit those. We'll get us a total of 4 basically brand new vehicles. And if you look at your spreadsheet in there, I wanted to break it down for you. You looked at the unit, the mileage. Let me get to usually I use my my paper copy, but I'm gonna try and be, some little high tech here.
Don't act high tech, Chief. I know better.
Thanks. You're right.
I'm looking at my
I
paper
know.
packet.
Yeah. Thank you. So if you look at this is sort of the breakdown, what we have. Currently, the one that we decommissioned was the 176 that I showed decommissioned. It's going to be sold. We actually already have a PD that may be interested in it. If not, we take it to Renee Bates and we'll get some money back on that unit. The next unit that will go in 996, that's the one that we put the engine in, has 114,000 miles on it. We'll take that one. We'll just take the top light off, take the graphics, and that will be the one that I want to try and get more mileage at. And the reason that we're assigning that one to me instead of the one I currently have, when you have a police vehicle idling in the heat of Texas, that's going to wear and tear that thing. You're not talking about the mileage, you talk about engine hours. So the thought process, minor highway miles majority. So we can get more use out of that and hopefully give it a little bit more time so we don't have to use any more money to fix that. And then the other units, the new one that we have is currently at Defender. We're going to start, the units are going to be numbered like 2024, that's the year. 01, that's the first unit we're putting in service. The other two, if approved, will be 2024-02, 2024-03. And so those will have 3 brand new 2024s. And then the current one, the black one we have is a 2022. So that sort of gives you a breakdown. If you look at the agreement, I think it's what, 58,000, 58,313. And the good thing about this, and here's another piece of approving it now. Typically, I don't like to bring things to you guys in the middle of a budget, but we're sort of jammed up on this one, and it was a need. So the nice thing about this is we can go ahead and say it's approved. We'll get the vehicles. I can have the vehicles this week. Hopefully, we're going to beat the rush. Here's what typically happens in government. Everyone goes October. Well, guess what? Everybody's ordering their cars in October. They start trying to get them in. Hopefully, we'll beat the curve. And that's what getting a call this last week from George, it looks like we may, because he said 10 weeks at first. Now I'm doing this, I probably jinxed us, but if we can get these in before October, hopefully we'll get them out by the first of the year, because it takes 6 months sometimes to get a car out. And hopefully we're going to be able to reduce that. And plus we're going to have reliable vehicles. You know, it's their office, and it's nice to have a nice car with all the different bells and whistles these days, the backup cameras, the Bluetooth especially. So that's the proposal. If approved, you know, the mayor will sign the resolution. I'll send it in tomorrow, and we can have vehicles delivered. The other nice thing about this is it's a loan. So we'll get the money, and once we purchase them, we won't have to pay that 58,000 till next, say we get them July, or say we get them next week. That first payment isn't due till 2025 next year versus October. So that money will you know, we're going to pay it all. We're going to pay it. So it's actually going to help us get the vehicle sooner.
At the end of the 3 payments, there are vehicles.
Yes, that's the other nice
So
thing.
there's
At
no
the,
residual, there are.
It's not
Right.
a lease, it's a.
no, it's a
lease.
buy. It's a purchase. Yeah, the lease, that was just sort of a, yes, it's a purchase. So that's the other nice thing about these vehicles. And typically, and I've used where I came from just sometimes as reference, we would have one 3 years, you would get like $25,000 for the car, and you drove for 3 years. So that's you sell it, we can sell it with everything in it, and then just purchase new. That's typically how you get more money. You know, we'll pull the radar out, the cameras, the radios, but other than that, you can sell that vehicle to somebody else that doesn't have a big budget, and they don't care if it has 90 or 100,000 miles on it. It's still a good car.
That costing, I'm sorry, that cost includes the upfit, all the, everything, that's turnkey?
Yes, sir. Every vehicle, the purchase, the vehicle alone is like 51.3 or 51.6. Then you have the additional equipment. The total cost is what we budget, or what Defender and what we budgeted, 78,000, basically 78,000 per unit. So you add double that, plus there's some interest in there, as we know. But yes, sir, this amount pays for, it's turnkey.
Last month, they handed out what the new graphics would look like on the white Tahoes. So they look pretty sharp.
New Tahoes are on.
Now, and you get it, the payments is not due for a year.
Yes, sir. Next June, or say next July, we'll make our first payment at 58,000.
When does that interest 5.32% interest?
It starts, I mean, we're basically getting a loan, so we're paying interest on that money we got. It starts
Soon as we get the
As soon
vehicles.
as we do the resolution,
So,
it's not
yeah.
just an annual start next.
It's just an annual payment. It bakes in day one.
Is there a way to, because some of this funding is gonna be coming from the,
CPD is gonna fund it. Yeah, all of it.
is there not a way that instead of making the payments with the interest, could we just not make an outright payment? Would it not be a benefit?
No, we can't do that.
Because this is as a program.
CPD only makes like 120 a year or something like that, correct?
Yes, I think this year we're gonna look at 120 is what we
And
budgeted
that,
for.
this goes back to the discussion on should of another position be created, that 30,000 wouldn't be there. If you start outright buying vehicles, they would not be able to support any personnel or any of the other equipment and things we've spent there. So again, this is allows us to stretch a little bit. Again, the interest rate is fairly reasonable. And again, from a finance perspective, I understand the desire to pay as you go and pay cash. But there's also a philosophy that if you match it, as long as the interest rate's good, if you're matching the life of the loan for the life of that asset or less, that you should be okay. Again, that's still a conservative way to approach. So I wouldn't propose 7 years. 3 years is actually fairly conservative because we should still have life when we're done paying for it. Now, to be clear, when he says a payment a year from now or a year from July, it's still in CCPD's fiscal year budget because it'll still hit this coming fiscal year we're talking about. So it's a year away, but it still hits in that fiscal year.
Under that program, there was a 3, 4, and 5-year option.
Right.
And they opted
I
for
saw
that.
that. I was just curious as to, there was an opportunity there with taxpayers some money, because that's their money that we're spending. If there's a way we can save 5.32% interest on 118,000, whatever it was, then that's considerable amount of money. But I understand what you're saying, the explanation.
Any other questions? Thank you. Discussion?
So,
We need the cars.
yeah, we need
need the
car.
we need the cars. We need newer.
It's a solution to a problem that we have to take care of.
Mhm.
There's not another simpler way of doing that.
And the cars have been in the shop so much, we just gotta start rolling some of these.
Because we spent 25,000 in maintenance this year. Is that right?
Correct.
Search in the world, no vehicles. We're missing the mark.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're missing them. Yeah.
In order to have the coverage out there, we need the vehicles, because the one thing we don't want is a vehicle sitting out there that the citizen sees it's a brand new vehicle not being used. If it's out there on the street being used, then we got a way of justifying it.
Right.
Chief mentioned. I mean, we want to retain, we got a really good team. We want to
Yeah.
retain.
Yes.
Give them the equipment they need to do their job. So,
sure, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to purchase 2 new police vehicles with the purchase agreement to begin fiscal year 24-25 and to end fiscal year 26-27, not to exceed $58,314 annually.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Number 5, discuss and consider resolution vote, no, wait. Number 4, discuss and consider resolution appointing new members of the Bartonville Community Development Committee. Staff presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a member resign in May, Mr. Foringer. And so we have advertised and we have received 3 applicants that we need to fulfill this position. And this is a vacant position, and this person would be in for just till September for this term. And then hopefully that person would like to reapply for the next term. We had 3 applicants. We had Jim Foringer III, Scott Dom, and Terry Hinoza.
Hinojosa.
Thank you.
We're very fortunate to have had 3 citizens to sign up, which says a lot about our community and the value that what we have to offer, and people willing to invest in themselves in it. And by looking at these applicants, they're great applicants, and one that really stands out is Scott Don. You know, he's a 37-year resident, you know, he's been a member of Bartonville, I mean, of the community. He's got his business environment, so he's what better accolades could you have to say, hey, you know, willing to be able to serve on the committee. So my preference would be, and I would, not to take anything away from the other two applicants, because thank you for volunteering, you know, gosh, says great about you, but you know, we can select one, and my vote would be for Scott.
We can always retain the other applicants' applications, and if something comes available somewhere else, then
We actually have our annual appointments coming up and I put that information out today and I've already got 2 applicants.
okay, good. You want to make a motion?
Who Scott as to replace him for the position. On BCD.
I second.
Carries 5-0. Thank you, Council. Number 5, discuss and consider resolution voting for Jim Carter, Denco Area 911 District Board of Managers. Shannon?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the final step in the process. We've spoke about this for the last 3 meetings. The first one was to decide if we wanted to nominate. The second one, last meeting, we brought the resolution for council to nominate. And so tonight we would be approving a resolution voting for Jim Carter for the Board of Managers appointment.
I make a motion that we appoint new member as of Jim Carter for the Bartonville Community Development Corporation.
Denco 911.
Oh,
Denco Area 911.
didn't, I'm sorry.
Denco Area
I
911.
read the wrong one. Okay, resolution voting for Jim Carter to the Denco Area 911 District Board of Managers.
Second.
Favor? Motion carries. Did you raise your hand, Lynn? Motion carries 5-0.
I know.
Number 6, discussion on renewing the solid waste franchise agreement with Waste Connections or directing staff to proceed with requests for proposals. Staff, Thad?
Council, the original agreement with Waste Connections actually started in 2014 and was extended in 2019. So we are under that first 5-year period. The agreement is written such that council can continue to do that for 5-year periods, or staff can go out and receive RFPs. Again, obviously all the other Waste Connection companies are aware that this contract is coming up. So they're sending us information and
Praise.
We haven't put it out for bid since 14.
it'll be 10 years at the end of this since it's been put out for bid.
I think so. I mean, I'm not unhappy with our current company, but we just need to see how the pricing is. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we might be able to get somebody too that'll pick up more limbs and things like that. Get somebody.
Are there specifics, I would ask again, other than bulk brush option, perhaps where we make sure they have that capability? Manure management, I know, has been an issue sometimes with Waste Connections because we have the horse farms. And so again, if you think of things like that, I mean, if you have them now, I'll write them down, but things we want to include, either add alternates, additional costs, we have our basic service plus, if you want to add these, it costs X.
About the cost, of course, but I think about, are there any accelerators, fuel surcharges, any of that kind, is there anything that could bite us, that could come back for any kind of accelerator in that contract?
We have in our current, which again, they hit us every year on their cost to go to the dump, et cetera. So again, knowing what those are and what that possibility
I'm
is.
assuming we'll have our current provider ask them for a proposal as well, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would.
Discussion, just thinking out loud, not a proposal, but do we think about the fuel that we require they run? Do we want diesel? Do we want nat gas for cleaner air? It's something you see a lot in these municipal contracts for waste and school buses right now. You're seeing more people run nat gas or electric. Electric's really not feasible in trash trucks yet, but nat gas is. So just something to think about.
Don't think it hurts to have them run the proposal both ways, diesel versus nat gas. So
I think we have enough out here that there's a lot.
no,
So if you're gonna sign up for a long contract.
Pick up the
But-
refrigerators and
Yes,
mattresses.
yes,
Is
yes.
that
I think that's more-
But is nat gas more fuel efficient? Is it cheaper? That's, I don't know.
So
About the same, okay.
They're charging us a lot for dumping. I mean, it seems like our contracts go up every year because the
tipping fees.
dumps, yeah, they're charging more, so they're
It's a pass through, if you will. So an accelerator, you want to make sure it's a straight pass through and not a, again, they're not an add-on that they're getting a profit off of whatever that cost is.
Right.
Right.
Ed, you might just add this, I've had a number of citizens ask me this, and I just haven't had time to check it out, but supposedly there is a company somewhere that does offer this type of service, and that's to pick up rubber wheels, including the metal, because you can't find a place that you can get rid of those without a cleanup day.
Possible.
So somehow, maybe an option.
That's where I put mine.
If a citizen has a way to get rid of them, it may cost us individual or may cost the town, but at least give them an option.
Well, we've added the household hazardous waste. Again, that was hard for people to get rid of. So
Right.
that is something that was added before. So I've got it written down to see if there's something.
Definitely something we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose any of the services we're being provided now for sure. But
Right.
the idea
That's
of
kind of the baseline. What
waste-
can we add?
right,
Okay.
especially the brush pickup. I know that's a big thing.
Right.
With
Large item pickup once a month, is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
we have
so
bulk pickup.
continue that.
So we would again look for our current contract to be the base and then go from there on anything that we might be able to add to bring to council. So I'm going to take that direction. Is it, we all want us to bring back in our RFPs?
Yes.
Sir. You got it.
Great. Thank you. Number 7, receive an update on bar ditches and drainage. Then,
1 second. Let me get there, Mayor.
basically, every town's had drainage issues in the last couple of months.
Right.
So including that, I mean, even towns that have storm drains are having a lot of trouble with drainage. So,
Take a break.
let's finish this.
Let's plow ahead. Okay.
Okay.
Again, this was originally requested by Mayor Pro Tem Chapman. We've done a lot of research and again, we've had drainage issues all over town because of the atypical rain. Again, 11 inches over normal.
Ugh.
And I will say, frankly, your bar ditches did better than some towns' storm drains. I lost 2 lanes on 635 one morning coming in because it was underwater and cars had crashed out. So part of, and Ed's gonna speak a little bit on this. I included the ordinance, chapter 6, health and sanitation. Part of, again, Bartonville being semi-rural, if you will, is the ordinances are written so that it places the burden. Again, this is how we keep our tax rate low without having public works, utilities, or parks, puts a lot of the burden on the private landowner to manage your stormwater through the bar ditches and through your culverts. And it even addresses, even if you mow your bar ditch and that's all you do for 10 years, you're probably going to lose this much of your capacity. And so when you look at your culvert and you're halfway up, most years you're going to be fine, but in a year like this, you're going to have real problems and it's going to back over the road and affect your neighbors. But additionally, it says you're supposed to manage your runoff such that your silt is not getting into your neighbor's bar ditch as well. So the problem we have is proving that this is a nuisance or proving that it's a violation per our ordinances. So if neighbors aren't able to work it out between each other, then we end up in a situation where I need to get our town engineer or some kind of expert in the conditions to prove which property is causing the issue. For instance, in Saddlebrook, we had a lot of high water, and it appeared that it was all coming from the Deer Hollow new construction. But during the last heavy rain, I've got video proof that it was actually, a lot of it was coming off of several other properties off of Cardinal because they're starting to get erosion because nothing was sinking in. And so again, it's trying to decide which one's doing more damage, if any damage to people's ponds. So then we end up getting into, again, citing people then proving it up in court like we had to do on another issue, and then suing people if they are not complying. Was that your take, Ed? I'm leaning on you. Again, the biggest update is, yes, we maintain those cross drainage, like crossroad culverts. That's within our right of way. We maintain all of those. Virtually every other drainage area is to be maintained by that landowner. And again, you may save on your municipal property taxes, not your school, but your municipal property taxes, but that does put a cost burden on each individual property owner to maintain that facility.
It's a matter of private property. And so with the bar ditches on private property, it's a responsibility of the property owner to maintain them. And that's how our ordinances are written. And that's typical for most of the suburbs around Dallas and even in Dallas, because the bar ditch area is on the private property side of things. And so it just becomes a private property management issue. And so the town really can't spend money on private property interests, public money on that, unless it becomes a nuisance. And that's a hard thing. You know, certain things are nuisances, a health and safety nuisance. Drainage, a public nuisance, is a harder standard to reach for the town to take any enforcement action and either write citations or take some sort of legal action. So it's a lot to lot drainage is a private property issue typically. And that's typical for y'all.
It's easier if I've got a crushed bar ditch that you can see it's crushed and the road, the water is coming out on the roadway, then I've got a health safety issue. So again, those are easier when it's just backing up in general. And there's no obvious trigger to that because just again, excess rain, that's difficult. Now, additionally, I did meet with Denton County. And so we have areas off of Rockgate that are ETJ. We also have that off of Frenchtown near Badminton. And I have turned those over to the county and they've said they're going to try and help us with that because the county does have standards. It's not the same as the towns, but the county does have standards on keeping your culverts clear and maintaining your bar ditches. So I'm hoping that'll help us off of Rockgate and then again adjacent to Badminton. And then in the last year, we actually did major repairs to Landfall Circle, that huge drainage structure under the road there. We replaced the West Jeter culvert, and then we did repairs in the back of Stonewood to a culvert that goes under the road. So again, we're monitoring and we're trying to make sure that we load those things into your budget as well to handle the town side of the drainage. But again, most of the rest of that is going to be left to the property owners. We'll say Double Oak came over and the town decided they wanted to do a full drainage study, $70,000 to do a townwide drainage study for Double Oak. They're not cheap. They're pretty complicated. So just something to think about. What other questions can we research? What other information can we bring forward?
And I appreciate the update.
Good information. We just need to be careful not creating liability for the town by getting involved in somebody's private property and trying to fix their problem. That's what we've got to be careful about. So
Continue to encourage people to keep the bar ditches clear.
yeah, I mean, because we do have limited funds that we're trying to stretch in various areas. So
Extraordinary amount of rain.
Yeah.
that we had.
the third wettest spring in our history? Yeah.
To the one time above. I cried every time it rained because I knew my phone was going to start ringing.
Yeah.
Well, April and May alone was over 16 inches.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thanks, Dad.
Session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551, the town council will make and close executive session in accordance with the Texas Government Code. Number 1, Section 551.071, consultation with town attorney to seek legal advice of its attorney concerning pending or contemplated litigation regarding the sanitary sewer nuisance 1287 Gibbons Road, town of Bartonville, Texas versus Paul Harvey, cause number 23-11429-467, pending in the 467th District Court of Denton County, Texas. Number 2, Section 551.071, consultation with town attorney to seek legal advice of its attorney regarding legal issues related to the town's extraterritorial jurisdiction, ETJ issues related to the First Ranch development and any and all legal issues related thereto. Number three, section 551.071. The town attorney to seek legal advice of its attorney regarding legal issues related to the regulation of short-term rentals and any and all legal issues related thereto. Number four, section 551.074, personal matters to deliberate and consider the employment of public officer or employee, to wit, Mayor Pro Tem. Time being 7:40.
Mayor, I need to recuse myself as to item 2.
Okay,
May I propose that y'all advance item 2 to number 1?
sure,
That way I can stay out here and,
that's fine.
thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Keith.
All right.
Time being 7:45, we're convened into closed session.
Yeah, just need to get them up, sit there too long.
Do you need a? Let's do it.
Well, you know, somebody came by and
Yes.
got the beer. Thank you. Sir. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
You and I.
Okay.
Pretty serious stuff.
Okay.
That's how they got out from you. We'll see that. Well, I don't know. My last is going to be. No, I just listening. Passed away. Just for that. So where are they bigger?
Oh, I know. Listen, 37 years ago, it's.
And in the last, just in the last. Sorry.
Amen.
Because I mean, already we can hear everything, 77, 407. And then, of course, when they become our backup. Well, I'm sure. A little bit further back, but when there are no leaves. If we work hard on the road exams, we did not let this slip through just because, oh, well, the road's already there. That road has taken a bit of beating.
I drove that the other day. Well.
You just look there. Or across there.
Yeah.
I had good. I don't know. Instead of coming out and he said, he was. They backed into our stock gate. It's been. They were turning.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They don't. They don't.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Where I live off.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's a gate. I can go there, but so they can go. Off 104.
Yeah.
So that's been happening. Forever. It is all these trucks with open trailers, whatever, they go in and turn around, so they go down the block village. They get.
I saw it. I saw it.
When you go by 104, just look at it, you're gonna see. About 14, 5, 10 blocks.
I saw them. I saw them, and I've seen them other places. So Joe said, can you do that? And I said, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's happening. These people are sick. Gutting their bartenders and they've had them all.
This is what I wanted. Our problem, people does not have the roadway. And their job is to drive on the roadway, drive it.
Oh, they're all over the place. And
So-
every time somebody, like our neighbors, across the road, sucks where that part happened, but they done other stuff like that too. Parking and backing into our piece of it. It's gonna be all over the shout.
I took a picture of it.
They're not so much fun. So.
What I did. Yeah, this is a safety hazard, let me know.
Some of those homes, and I mean, that's what it is. I know.
Well, I put them right on the corner too, because people.
But the corner, yeah, they do.
And where's the road?
Oh, listen.
And I'm like, I put those two there, now they're having to turn off the asphalt, so.
I feel your pain. At Stockgate, they have so run over it that they've totally cracked the concrete that's sort of, like the windows on either side.
And I'm rolling around the park every time, so it's visible.
Yep.
So when these guys have to.
My work shift tomorrow.
They're not 5 foot of
Oh,
ground.
you want.
It comes in the right color.
Yeah, we'll see it, absolutely.
See, yeah. Picture in the right.
Yeah.
We'll see. I want to. Too, don't you know? We were talking. Yeah. It was.
Come in.
Yeah. I'll go out to dinner.
Good. Releasing.
I'm doing a little dinner. All the lady here. Yeah.
She is in education and she's an American person who's fine. And she's, it's my family farm, I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Or maintain that.
We did 64 acres that we had for years over in East Texas.
My partner lives in Valley.
Oh, that's good.
East Florence. So, in fact, half the cows, so you know, the cattle don't like the little bus. There is. And I'm gonna, we had to do it. 4 years ago. Yeah, for the first game. It was a rental, first ball, his house out here. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a guy, every time I've heard him speak, I think.
But it's, eventually, yeah, we'll get out. Actually, I've got to think about it. I will be 60 this year. So.
Not hard to believe.
Yeah, I will be 60 this year. So there's coming a time where I don't need to be messing with 1,500-1,800 pounds.
No, you don't. And you need to be taking care of yourself now,
Yeah.
because if you don't, then when it is time to retire, you're not gonna be able to do stuff.
So there's only a time you got to be able to keep up with. And I've got to. I don't have anybody else that's gonna come in to disperse the herd. In the room is too old, they're about to care.
And by the way, to take care of you. I mean, there's a lot to think about there, and I watch young men do stuff, and I think, 20 years ago, I'm sorry you did that.
Well, my wife, she's considered retired.
I wondered about that. She was such a sweet lady.
She got offered. It's 55.
I'm still hanging out.
You
You almost like this place.
One of our firefighters shot 78 on Montana.
Hard to turn down.
She's like
70.
She's gotta have speed stuck in her head.
Whoa.
No,
Do we have video?
he played by himself.
Yeah.
And I let it go.
I did. But she thought I'm doing it. You know what? I'm just going to
Just be careful how you get, and be sure that you understand their fee structure.
That's what.
So smart on all of that, and when I
That's what-
retired at 55, he took ours over and it's so much better. But city lives, that's, I think, sleep.
Well, my background is finance real estate, so I understand it, but I do know about it. We're looking at, looking at the fee structure.
Yep.
We're meeting with 3 different.
Good, that's smart.
Keep your up.
Oh, you're ready.
All right.
I'll see you
Right,
soon.
so-
Take care.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Good Adams. And I live on Glenview Lane. So any and every time you're thinking about doing something on Glenview Lane, you want to think, don't. Because we worked for years with Liberty Christian to get that gate and fence permanent. And we had one, how can I say this nicely, one rich family after the other tried to go around that. And Liberty Christian stood firm. They said, no, we made a deal with all the people here that we would not take advantage of Glenview or anything. And then I heard you guys were kind of thinking about doing it for emergency.
Well, for emergency, remember how like on 407 had been greased too?
I remember.
So it would only, we wouldn't go to call, but let's say, no other way to get emergency access to that school. They might get up early. Let's say there's a dramatic attack or shooter.
That would be totally different, but I'm just saying this too. I know the people that are Christian, there are a lot of people with a lot of money and one crack in that gate and then through there in.
No, there won't be any back though. It's pretty much something fast. And we're the one. Yeah. It's only.
Keep in mind, I have a lot of very strong feelings as far as other people there.
So you
You're
got-
not elderly,
You understand?
elderly more than me.
It's 7-7, that's right.
We'll see y'all later.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that.
This is not that.
Well,
So we want, just in case there is.
just think if there are other ways,
I've looked so much already, that is really only has, there's a gate there now, but we just need to enlarge a little bit, but tall.
And it's locked.
Yeah, it's locked.
We actually had a family move out because they got so mad that they wouldn't unlock their
Yeah.
gate.
The day that we have to use that gate, that's better than something back. Yeah. It's not like we're gonna make calls there, like a big call over, it's only because it's
Just keep in mind that I'd really like them to think of anything else because, I mean, I just know how that works.
that is
And
not something we're.
Those are people that are, that they're used to money buying whatever they want. And that school has been really good to support us.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, no,
And I just have.
we didn't want.
And like I said, the day that you see at museums, it's something you really.
I know, but it trust you.
Yeah. Everybody else, it's not gonna be a way and we're gonna go. We're gonna keep us off.
I've watched what they do, and when their board changes, their point of view, just like our council, that's why we work so hard to keep who we got. But it's, yeah, it's a challenge.
So you gotta say too, is we got so much. People moving.
Oh, to the point of being scary for all of us.
Right, so it's a new school, all the new schools that are coming in, we're doing the same things, having to access some more performances. Just in case that's.
As long as you're your backup.
That's all.
I appreciate it. Thank you. See you guys later.
I really enjoyed up and down that thing, I really poke at every areas that I could, and that was the best thing, that's the best. Yeah. Yeah, I've looked at that, it goes through there and it cuts into something. It's kind of like the long way. Yeah, everything, it's not goes into the back. Yes. But that's the closest access, that's the closest. They are. I'm working on, yeah, I'm working on. Yeah, so the head of security, he knows. I know. So maybe once I get the contact going, they agree to let's talk about doing this, should we have some meeting there? Maybe, how do you open up a dialogue? I kind of think. We try to do good. I think we try to say that. I think we did it right. Or we could talk to her and say, we'd like to get. I think we should really. I've never done it. Yeah, never done that. That's what I said about somebody here said something. Well, she made like a school. She went to school, I have said something. School. Yes, but see, they might not know, they might think, well, we're gonna build it, we're take maybe take down. Do there, it's like the school off the post, got some same thing, remember the argument back and forth, oh, well, you're that gate from down, the kid, I just take off the hill. This be fully finished. We're not going off the fence. Yeah. But it really, that, even if you act like. Excuse me? You'll have to piggyback. So that and living together, that's the best aspect. But it's the same thing, it's for strictly emergency, running over, sharing, You're right, it's fine, that's crazy. Otherwise, anybody can blame them, but we don't only want to do in addition. And Colorado, John, and we don't get it, we can have people moving new homes.
No, I didn't get those yet. No. It is good. That's good. Yeah, you probably won't. Yeah.
You go, I'll get one out.
You grounded a little bit.
It's amazing. All the therapy I've been through trying to figure out what's going on with my brain and city sectors. And they can't tell me why. They think it's a byproduct that's still.
But COVID?
Yep.
Really?
Because this thing started with my balance in October 20.
Yeah.
And that's when I had.
So
Balance
having
system ever
this
since.
open on the same tab that you have the video,
She
you
can't
just
even-
bring back the audio on the roof. From.
So what kind of toy did we get
So
tonight?
do that other.
A trash can.
Oh.
You can just do this.
I'm not even gonna
So
take
now the
it.
playback here, you do off of the internet.
Oh, I don't want that thing.
And you can play whatever video you want. 'Cause
Okay.
First, it makes you laugh.
They're still hearing us.
Yeah, I've watched it and you know.
So what?
And we
about
came
say the
down to
recovery
go
is-
to TV.
Right. It's not,
Okay.
that was, and that's why we got the answer. This sound was going to.
getting anything good?
Right
Taking right
parallel.
everything.
And that's why we muted
We
because we were
bought
getting
the
that
good light
at another meeting,
patches
so.
and
Yeah.
You mute this every time and you won't ever
They
have
don't
that.
kill the pain.
Okay, I'm gonna write down my name right now.
You know, it's
Thank
just
you.
because it's tissue related to the.
Every time you.
So, the veins of the stomach. So,
Time being 8:20, we're reconvening the open session. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint, Matt Chapman as mayor pro tem.
All in favor? Motion carries. Yeah, motion carries 5-0.
Guess you're gonna vote again.
Vote against. Just have one on the record.
Yeah.
No action to the others.
No action on number 1, 2, and 3. Future agenda items.
We covered a lot tonight on
We
future
did.
stuff, so, yeah. I can't think of anything.
Time being 8:21, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is this? Sounds like a cat. Shannon.